Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is dead. He died at his home in the Vatican at 95 on this Saturday. Pope Benedict XVI, whose birth name was Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger, was born on April 16, 1927 in Marktl am Inn, a small town in Bavaria, Germany. He was the third and youngest child of Joseph Ratzinger Sr., a police officer, and his wife, Maria, a cook and housekeeper. Pope Benedict XVI grew up in a Catholic household and was educated at the local school in Marktl am Inn. He later attended a seminary in Freising and was ordained a priest in 1951. He went on to study theology and philosophy at the University of Munich, where he received his doctorate in 1953. Pope Benedict XVI's early career included a variety of academic and pastoral roles. He taught theology at a number of universities in Germany and served as a pastor in several parishes. He also served as a bishop and later as a cardinal in the Catholic Church. In 1981, he was appointed prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the Church's chief doctrinal office, and in 2005 he was elected pope, succeeding Pope John Paul II. Benedetto XVI is the name by which Pope Benedict XVI is commonly known. Pope Benedict XVI was the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican City-State from 2005 to 2013. He was the successor to Pope John Paul II and the first pope to resign from the papacy in nearly 600 years. Prior to his election as pope, Pope Benedict XVI served as a cardinal and a prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the Church's chief doctrinal office. He is known for his strong emphasis on traditional Catholic doctrine and for his efforts to promote Christian unity. Pope Benedict XVI announced his resignation from the papacy on February 11, 2013, citing his advanced age and declining health as the reasons for his decision. At the time of his resignation, Pope Benedict XVI was 85 years old and had served as pope for nearly 8 years. In a statement, he explained that, after having repeatedly examined my conscience before God, I have come to the certainty that my strengths, due to an advanced age, are no longer suited to an adequate exercise of the Petrine ministry. The decision to resign from the papacy is a rare one, as popes are traditionally expected to serve until their deaths. The last pope to resign from the papacy was Pope Gregory XII, who resigned in 1415 in order to end the Great Western Schism, a period of division within the Catholic Church. Pope Benedict XVI's resignation marked the first time in nearly 600 years that a pope had voluntarily stepped down from the papacy. Pope Benedict XVI was known for his strong emphasis on traditional Catholic doctrine and his efforts to promote Christian unity. As pope, he sought to defend and promote traditional Catholic teachings on issues such as the sanctity of human life, the importance of the family, and the nature of the Church. He also worked to strengthen relations between the Catholic Church and other Christian denominations, and he made efforts to promote ecumenical dialogue with other religions. Pope Benedict XVI was a highly respected theologian and scholar, and his papacy was marked by a strong emphasis on the importance of faith and the role of the Church in the modern world. He wrote extensively on a range of topics related to Catholicism and Christian doctrine, and his writings have been widely read and studied by Catholics and others around the world. Pope Benedict XVI wrote extensively on a range of topics related to Catholicism and Christian doctrine during his papacy and before. Some of his most well-known writings include Jesus of Nazareth, a 3-volume work in which Pope Benedict XVI reflects on the life, teachings, and significance of Jesus Christ. God and the World, a book in which Pope Benedict XVI discusses the relationship between faith and reason and the role of religion in the modern world. The Spirit of the Liturgy, a book in which Pope Benedict XVI reflects on the nature and significance of liturgical worship in the Catholic Church. The Ratzinger Report, an interview in which Pope Benedict XVI discusses a variety of topics related to the Church, including its history, its relationship with other religions, and its role in the modern world. Pope Benedict XVI's writings have been widely read and studied by Catholics and others around the world, and they have contributed significantly to the Church's understanding of a variety of important theological and spiritual topics. Jesus of Nazareth is a 3-volume work written by Pope Benedict XVI in which he reflects on the life, teachings, and significance of Jesus Christ. The first volume, Jesus of Nazareth, From the Baptism in the Jordan to the Transfiguration, was published in 2007 and covers the period from Jesus' baptism to his transfiguration. The second volume, Jesus of Nazareth, Holy Week, From the Entrance into Jerusalem to the Resurrection, was published in 2011 and covers the events of Holy Week, including Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, his trial, his death, and his resurrection. The third and final volume, Jesus of Nazareth, The Infancy Narratives, was published in 2012 and covers the events of Jesus' birth and childhood. In Jesus of Nazareth, Pope Benedict XVI seeks to provide a detailed and nuanced portrayal of Jesus and his teachings, drawing on a wide range of biblical and other sources. He examines the various aspects of Jesus' life and ministry and reflects on their significance for the Church and for the world. The book has been widely read and praised for its scholarly approach and its insights into the life and teachings of Jesus. God and the World is a book written by Pope Benedict XVI in which he discusses the relationship between faith and reason and the role of religion in the modern world. In the book, Pope Benedict XVI argues that faith and reason are not opposed to one another but rather are complementary and mutually reinforcing. He asserts that faith and reason both have a role to play in understanding the world and in seeking truth, and that they can and should be brought into dialogue with one another. Pope Benedict XVI also discusses the role of religion in the modern world and the challenges that it faces. He argues that religion has an important role to play in addressing the major issues facing humanity, such as peace, justice, and environmental sustainability, and that it is necessary for people of faith to engage with the broader world in order to make a positive contribution to society. God and the World has been widely read and praised for its insights into the relationship between faith and reason and the role of religion in the modern world. It is considered to be one of Pope Benedict XVI's most important works. The Spirit of the Liturgy is a book written by Pope Benedict XVI in which he reflects on the nature and significance of liturgical worship in the Catholic Church. In the book, Pope Benedict XVI discusses the various elements of the liturgy, including the Mass, the sacraments, and the liturgy of the hours, and reflects on their meaning and significance for the life of the Church. He emphasizes the importance of liturgical worship as a means of encountering and entering into a relationship with God, and he advocates for a renewal of the liturgy in the Catholic Church. Pope Benedict XVI also discusses the role of the liturgy in the life of the Church and in the spiritual formation of Catholics. He argues that the liturgy should be celebrated with reverence and beauty, and that it should be a source of inspiration and guidance for the faithful. The Spirit of the Liturgy has been widely read and studied by Catholics and others interested in the liturgy, and it is considered to be an important work on the subject. The Ratzinger Report is an interview with Pope Benedict XVI in which he discusses a variety of topics related to the Church, including its history, its relationship with other religions, and its role in the modern world. The interview was conducted by journalist Vittorio Messori and was published in 1985. In The Ratzinger Report, Pope Benedict XVI reflects on the state of the Church at the time of the interview and discusses a range of issues facing the Church, including the role of the papacy, the nature of the Church, and the relationship between faith and modernity. He also discusses the Church's relationship with other religions and its efforts to engage with the broader world. The Ratzinger Report has been widely read and studied by Catholics and others interested in the Church and its teachings, and it is considered to be an important work on these subjects. Pope Benedict XVI has left a significant legacy in the Catholic Church and beyond. During his papacy, he emphasized the importance of traditional Catholic doctrine and worked to promote Christian unity. He also made efforts to engage with the broader world and address major issues facing humanity, such as peace, justice, and environmental sustainability. Pope Benedict XVI is also widely recognized as a scholar and theologian of great depth and erudition. He wrote extensively on a range of topics related to Catholicism and Christian doctrine, and his writings have been widely read and studied by Catholics and others around the world. His works include Jesus of Nazareth, a 3-volume work in which he reflects on the life, teachings, and Significance of Jesus Christ, God and the World, a book in which he discusses the relationship between faith and reason and the role of religion in the modern world, and The Spirit of the Liturgy, a book in which he reflects on the nature and significance of liturgical worship in the Catholic Church. Pope Benedict XVI's papacy and his writings will continue to be remembered and studied for many years to come. Pope Benedict XVI made numerous trips during his papacy, visiting countries around the world and meeting with leaders and people of various faiths. Some of his most significant trips during his papacy include a trip to Turkey in 2006, during which he met with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and visited the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. A trip to Brazil in 2007, during which he celebrated Mass in São Paulo and visited the Shrine of Our Lady of Aparecida. A trip to the United States in 2008, during which he met with President George W. Bush and addressed the United Nations General Assembly in New York. A trip to the United Kingdom in 2010, during which he met with Queen Elizabeth II and delivered a speech at Westminster Abbey. A trip to Cuba in 2012, during which he met with Cuban President Raúl Castro and celebrated Mass in Havana's Revolution Plaza. During these and other trips, Pope Benedict XVI met with leaders and people of various faiths and sought to promote dialogue and understanding between the Catholic Church and other religions. He also celebrated Mass, met with Catholics and others, and spoke about a variety of issues of concern to the Church and to the world. Pope Benedict XVI visited Cuba in March 2012, becoming the second pope to visit the island nation after Pope John Paul II's historic visit in 1998. The visit was seen as an important event in the history of the Church in Cuba and was widely covered in the media. During his trip to Cuba, Pope Benedict XVI met with Cuban President Raúl Castro and celebrated Mass in Havana's Revolution Plaza, which was attended by hundreds of thousands of people. He also visited the Shrine of the Virgin of Charity of El Cabra, a major pilgrimage site for Catholics in Cuba, and met with members of the Church and with young people. Pope Benedict XVI's visit to Cuba was seen as an opportunity to strengthen relations between the Catholic Church and the Cuban government and to encourage the Church's efforts to promote social justice and human rights on the island. It was also seen as a sign of the Church's continued commitment to the people of Cuba and its desire to support the Church's efforts to serve the needs of the faithful. During his papacy, Pope Benedict XVI faced a number of scandals related to the sexual abuse of minors by clergy within the Catholic Church. These scandals, which had been present within the Church for many years, gained widespread attention and condemnation in the years leading up to and during Pope Benedict XVI's papacy. In response to the scandals, Pope Benedict XVI took a number of steps to address the issue and to prevent future instances of abuse. He apologized to victims of abuse and met with a number of them personally. He also implemented a number of measures aimed at increasing accountability and transparency within the Church and at ensuring that allegations of abuse were properly investigated and dealt with. Despite these efforts, the issue of sexual abuse within the Church continued to be a source of controversy and criticism during Pope Benedict XVI's papacy, and it remains a significant challenge for the Church today. Pope Benedict XVI and Pope Francis had a cordial and respectful relationship. Pope Benedict XVI resigned from the papacy in 2013, becoming the first pope to do so in nearly 600 years. He was succeeded by Pope Francis, who was elected as the new pope later that same year. Since Pope Francis's election, Pope Benedict XVI retired from public life and largely refrained from commenting on church affairs. However, he always expressed support for Pope Francis and his papacy, and the two men met on a number of occasions. Pope Francis has also spoken positively about Pope Benedict XVI and has praised his contributions to the Church. In a speech in 2014, Pope Francis said that Pope Benedict XVI was a wise pastor and a dear brother, and he thanked him for his faithful and discreet service to the Church. Pope Francis has also honored Pope Benedict XVI on a number of occasions, including by naming him as an honorary cardinal in 2016. Pope Benedict XVI took a number of steps to reform and modernize the IOR during his papacy. He implemented a number of measures aimed at increasing transparency and accountability within the institution, including requiring the IOR to comply with international standards for money laundering and terrorist financing. He also appointed a number of new officials to oversee the IOR and work to improve the institution's relationship with regulatory authorities. Despite these efforts, the IOR faced a number of challenges and controversies during Pope Benedict XVI's papacy, including allegations of financial misconduct and money laundering. The IOR has continued to face such challenges in the years since Pope Benedict XVI's papacy. Pope Benedict XVI held traditional views on the role of women in the Catholic Church and did not support the ordination of women to the priesthood. He believed that the priesthood was reserved for men, in accordance with the Church's long-standing tradition and the teachings of Jesus and the Apostles. In January 2020, Benedict publicly defended clerical celibacy, as Francis was considering allowing married men to become priests in limited circumstances. "I cannot keep silent," he wrote in a book, "From the Depths of Our Hearts, Priesthood, Celibacy and the Crisis of the Catholic Church," arguing that priestly celibacy protected the mystery of the Church. However, Pope Benedict XVI also recognized the important contributions of women to the Church and affirmed their dignity and value. He encouraged the participation of women in the life of the Church and in the Church's mission, and he supported the involvement of women in various church ministries and leadership roles. Pope Benedict XVI also emphasized the importance of the family and the role of women as mothers and caregivers. He defended the Church's teachings on the sanctity of human life and the importance of the traditional family, and he spoke out against efforts to undermine these teachings. The Vatican announced that Francis would preside at Benedict's funeral in St. Peter's Square on Thursday. From Monday, his body will lie at St. Peter's Basilica to allow the faithful to pay respects.